The views expressed by Mr. Sterling are deeply offensive and harmful. That they came from an NBA owner only heightens the damage and my personal outrage. Sentiments of this kind are contrary to the principles of inclusion and respect that form the foundation of our diverse, multicultural, and multi-ethnic league.
All right, folks, that's the commissioner of the NBA, Adam Silver, talking about Donald Sterling, the owner of the LA Clippers, who made those racist remarks caught on tape by his girlfriend, legally or illegally. And the verdict is in. I want you to hear first the next soundbite from the NBA commissioner.
Effective immediately, I am banning Mr. Sterling for life from any association with the Clippers organization or the NBA. Mr. Sterling may not attend any NBA games or practices. He may not be present at any Clippers facility, and he may not participate in any business or player personnel decisions involving the team.
Okay, he was also fined, I don't know if the commissioner said it in that bite, $2.5 million. I believe that's the maximum that the league can fine him. Now, as far as team ownership, it's not within the commissioner's power to strip an owner of ownership or demand that the owner relinquish ownership by selling the team. But it is apparently, according to the commissioner, within the parameters of the and the purview of the other owners on the board, which make up the board of the NBA, and he's urging them to take up that matter and to mandate that Donald Silver be forced to sell the LA Clippers. That process, he said, will start very, very soon. Joining us now is, I don't even know if he's a basketball fan or not, but I guess you don't have to be a basketball fan to weigh in on this breaking news. It's been all over the place. The one and the only former Pennsylvania senator, former Republican presidential candidate, and I believe future, and also the CEO of EchoLight Studios, and, because that's not enough, Rick, the author of Blue Collar Conservatives Recommitting to an America That Works. I hold this up in my hand right here. Rick Santorum. Hello, sir.
Well, after listening to all that, I need to take a nap.
No, you should be very, very proud of all of that. And the book is fantastic. I do want to ask you before we get to all of that, you know, you heard Sterling has been suspended for life. He's been fined $2.5 million, and the owners are going to vote, the commissioner wants the owners to vote to force him to sell his team. What's your take on all this?
Well, the more I learn about this, character, I guess the more I question, why wasn't this done a long time ago? This guy has, you know, this is nothing new in this guy's playbook, and I think, you know, obviously it's now out there in the public, but you know, this is a private organization, and they can police themselves as they wish. I think they got caught with their hand a little soiled on this one, and so that I'm glad they reacted the way they did. I think it was appropriate, and you know, he certainly got what he deserved, and probably deserved for a while.
All right, you know, let's turn to politics, of course. Wow, I mean, where to start? Well, let me start with a recent remark I heard you make. You said something, and explain it to me because I didn't hear the whole thing, that the Obama people recognized you as a legitimate threat. What was that about, that they were worried about your candidacy?
Well, there was a couple of occasions, actually several occasions after the campaign. One was that I guess Harvard does this review of the campaigns after the campaigns are over, and my folks were involved in that. My political folks were up there and did some seminars, and that was actually one of the things that was brought up. And several of the Obama folks said, well, you know, we weren't really excited about the prospects of taking on Rick Santorum. Mitt Romney fit the narrative very well of the 99 versus the 1, and running against Wall Street and all this kind of stuff. And of course he couldn't go after us on our biggest Achilles heel, which was Obamacare. So they were quite happy. And I, because what I made the comment, the comment I made the other in an interview is that I did talk to one of the staffers for the Obama campaign and asked her. I said, why didn't you guys help me? Everyone would have thought that on your team, at least on the left, that I would be easy to beat.
I got you.
Strong conservative. And I said, why didn't you go out and beat me up a little bit and help me with my primary? And his response was because we were concerned about your ability to be able to attract votes in Ohio and Michigan and Pennsylvania and a lot of the blue collar areas that I did well in during the campaign.
So that means you're going to run again.
Well, no, that means I was asked questions because I've got a book coming out, and in fact, out today, which is called Blue Collar Conservatives Recommitting to an America That Works. And it was a lesson I learned, not just on the campaign trail, but I grew up in a blue-collar town. I grew up in Butler, Pennsylvania, which is a steel town outside of Pittsburgh. And, my grandfather was a coal miner. I lived in public housing. I mean, this is, I'm a first-generation American. This is what I know and who I am. And that's something that when I look at how Americans that I grew up with are struggling in the world today, and how neither political party is addressing the problems that they're confronting. The Democrats' answer is wrong. It's we'll give you more money, we'll redistribute wealth. Well, they're redistributing wealth. Yeah, they're handing out more checks, but people aren't doing better. They're not finding satisfying work. They're not moving up the economic ladder, and they're not happy. And there's a lot of folks who are very unhappy, particularly with the president. If you look at his polls, and Republicans, unfortunately, just have no answer. I mean, we just sort of talk macroeconomics all the time. We don't get down and look people in the eye who are millions of people who are struggling and propose some solid things that affect their lives directly, and that's what this book does.
Yeah, no, absolutely it does. And again, it's all about communications. And you talk about the poll numbers. I'm sure you're aware of the latest Washington Post ABC News poll today.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, Obama down to 41% approval,
right.
Healthcare at 33%, a war in Ukraine and Russia 30-something%, the economy in the toilet, all of that. So why is it that this party, this Republican Party, is so gosh darn bad at communicating almost every single message they could communicate?
Well, a couple of things. I would say first and foremost is, I think it was Teddy Roosevelt says, nobody cares what you think until they think you care. And the Republicans have this image of we are sort of above the fray. We talk, as I said, macroeconomics. How many times do you hear? If you have a Republican on, I just think about this, Steve. You have a Republican on talking about what they're going to do with the economy. The three things that always comes out is we have to balance the budget, we have to cut spending, particularly on entitlements, and we need to cut taxes for high-income individuals. Now, if you're not on an entitlement, and you have no idea how a balanced budget affects your job, and I'm not sure I understand how a balanced budget affects my job, and you're not a rich person who's going to get a tax cut, what's the message? Where do you see yourself in that picture, except that the Republican says, trust me, if we cut taxes, you're going to get a better job. You know what? I handled this in the chapter where I quote John Kennedy, when Kennedy used the term, a rising tide lifts all boats. Well, that's true, unless, of course, you have holes in your boat. And millions of Americans, all of us maybe, you could say, have holes in their boats. We've got problems, whether you have a drug problem or whether you have a family problem or whether you have a criminal problem, whether you can have all sorts of, whether you have a skills deficit, education. There's all sorts of problems that everybody has in America. I mean, that's just who we are. And the idea that if you just keep growing things, everything will be fine. No, what we're finding is everybody is not fine. That there are real problems that lots of workers are having, particularly the 70% of Americans who don't have college degrees. They're not getting ahead. They're not moving forward. The rising tide isn't lifting their boats because their boats has holes. They're sinking, and they're sinking deeper, and they're feeling very insecure. And we're not talking about how we can develop a system that's going to work for them.
All right, one other number in that poll today showed women overwhelmingly, I think only 25% was the number for Republicans. I don't remember. It was well over 55 or 60 for Democrats. Yeah, that they trust Democrats to deal with women's issues more than Republicans. How do we close, or how do the Republicans close, both on the congressional level and on the, in 016, if it's you or another Republican candidate, especially if you're running against a Hillary? How do you close that perceived gap, the gap that exists, but it's there for, I believe, out of total fallacy? Because, if you look at the numbers now, look what Obama's done to women in the workforce. Look what Obama pays women in the White House, if you want to use his own claim of inequality to women and men. I mean, it's just based on news reports and contraception.
Look, the bottom line is they're very good with their sycophants in the media of pounding away. Here's the problem with Republicans. What do we do on those issues? We play defense. We don't go after them. You mentioned a couple of things, but there's a whole host of things. Even in the area that's close our vulnerability, the Democratic Party is extreme on all of these issues. But since we have chosen not to talk about those issues, our candidates are always the guys. Be quiet. Don't run on those issues. Don't ever mention those issues. But of course, they're important issues in this country. People actually care about these issues. People actually contemplate them when they vote. And if the Republican Party has positions and doesn't defend that, and all they do is defend them up to attacks on the other side, instead of going out and attacking and taking the issues to the other side, then we're going to continue to lose. So I would make the argument we need to fight back. We need to start. If we actually believe that the things that we believe in are best for women, then we better go out and start making the argument instead of trying to say, oh, no, we really didn't mean that when the Democrats attacked.
Right. No, I couldn't agree with you more. And that's a disease that really there has to be a cure for the next presidential candidate. And, that's why it's got to be someone like you. Let me ask you, we only have a couple of minutes left. Let me ask you, you also made a statement about we, being the Republicans, I guess, spend so much time talking about I'm paraphrasing, who should be married, but we don't talk about the importance of marriage. Now, I know that you're in no way, I would assume you're in no way easing up on your belief in the definition of marriage, correct?
No. What I'm saying is that marriage is an intrinsic good for society that we don't, frankly, value as much as we do, and we don't talk about it. You have the government going out and doing, people say, well, the government shouldn't be involved in that and, in promoting marriage. Well, government promotes hiring veterans. Government promotes, eating good and healthy meals. Government promotes not smoking. Government promotes a lot of things that are good for people because we know objectively they're good, and we have educational campaigns that support that Republicans and Democrats all agree with.
I got one more. Yeah, I'm sorry.
My point is, Republicans and Democrats don't disagree that marriage is good and that people who are married are happier, they do better economically, their children do better. So why don't we do things to promote and value marriage more than we do?
No, absolutely. Rick, I have a feeling that writing Blue Collar Conservatives was a labor of love, and it's Blue Collar Conservatives recommitting to an America that works. And how's your lovely daughter?
She's going to be 6 years old in 2 weeks, and
wow.
Thank you for asking.
Wow.
In fact, today I'm finishing up the manuscript for another book, and it's about her.
Well, I can't. America, everyone in America, I'm sure can't wait for that. What an amazing, miraculous story, and credit to you and your whole family and your lovely wife. Hey, we'll speak to you soon, Rick. Thank you very much. Great luck with the book.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Take care. That's Rick Santorum, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, we're going to go in depth. Jared Max and Kevin Jackson on the NBA. The panel is next.